I'm not.
You
I'm
look
not.
like broadcast is live.
That's all right. I'm apologizing in advance.
Looking clean.
So fresh and so clean.
Oh, dang.
I'm apologizing in advance, everyone. My kind of losing my voice a little bit. I'm not sick anymore, but I got this lovely lingering cough going on. So anyways, welcome everyone. Excited. We are now live. We are hitting you with another Sacramento market update. We call it BrewRe, Brew and Real Estate. We're just talking about the Sacramento area. We're talking about the headlines, what's going on in the market right now, like interest rates. So I'm going to go over all that here shortly. But we're covering a Sacramento market update through January 2022. So we're now in February. So we're sharing some stats with you. Super excited. What we're talking about today really is, home prices and mortgage rates are soaring, right? So the question is, are interest rates rising going to slow down the real estate market? Like, because they're rising on a regular basis.
Fair question, man. That's a fair question. I think that's a question that's on a lot of people's mind right now.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into that shortly. But just to introduce myself, my name is Brandon Leon. I'm a local realtor here in the Sacramento area with eXp Realty. And I'm joined here with...
I'm Keith Collins with Movement Mortgage. And, I really think that we try to help people think about things that maybe they wouldn't thought about before. Like, let's just go finance real estate smart these days. So that's us. I'm excited.
Good. We're happy to be here for another month. We do this every single month. But we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm just going to go over a quick summary of kind of what we're going to talk about today. Before I do that, I'm actually going to introduce what I'm drinking, because we take this as kind of our happy hour. And I'm going back to an oldie but goodie. I don't know. I just looked at what I had. Don't have too much here in the office, but I'm drinking some whiskey. It's a Maker's Mark special edition, SE4 PR5. Boom. So this is a special wood finishing series coming in at 55.4%. Boom. A little Maker's action. What are you drinking, Keith?
I miss BrewRe, so I'm holding constant to the this is the go-to for me, the little Stella. I love
can't
Stella.
Go wrong.
It's like
Anyways, cheers.
It's so good.
Cheers to you guys. Hope you're enjoying something with us this afternoon. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So in today's discussion, we're actually going to look at the rising interest rates and how they affect the housing market. We're going to look at the Sacramento Region market statistics compared from January this year to last year. We're going to look at what is the average amount people are willing to pay above list price for a home, which is a common question that I get with buyers. We're going to look at what are the hottest price ranges in the Sacramento area, which is also a common question I get from people moving from out of the area. We're going to talk about what percentage of families can afford to buy a home in Sacramento, which I think is a pretty cool statistic. And so we're covering a lot here, and we're going to go kind of quick. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to comment below and ask questions. We'll do our best to answer them as we go along. So before we get into the nitty gritty, is what I like to call it, we're gonna have a little fun. Before we get started, we always have some fun with some dad jokes. So we bring our best dad jokes that we've accumulated over the years, and so we do one, and the goal is, sometimes we do a bonus. The goal is to get the other person to laugh, and I typically win this at all times.
You're stupid.
But see, I already got him to laugh. I win.
Come on.
Since you laughed, you can go first.
Oh, I'm on the fence on this one, man. I'm on the fence on this one.
Okay.
But I'll run with a different one. Here we go. How does Darth Vader like his toast?
How?
On the dark side.
I like my toast that way too. A little burnt.
Do you? A little burnt?
I do.
I can't do that.
That's okay. Fun fact, we tried to make pizzas last night for Valentine's Day for Vanessa and I. My friend has the stone outdoor oven, and we forgot to put flour on the bottom. So talk about dark.
Yeah. You know what actually works a lot better on that is cornmeal.
Cornmeal. Got it.
Yeah. So if you put cornmeal on the bottom of that on the pizza stone, it'll be perfect.
All right, here's my joke. You ready?
Yeah, let's go. Ready to rock.
I'm starting a flight company exclusively for bald people. I'm calling it Receding Airlines.
I like it. I like it.
You know what's funny is Derek is
I mean, I can't laugh. I don't want to
he's
laugh. You know what I mean? I
busting
don't
up.
make it
Derek
awkward,
is
but
busting
that
up
is
the room
funny.
next to me. I could hear him through the walls. He's still laughing.
Right?
Yeah, I can hear him. And like, I want him to get on the screen right now to see how fun. That was a funny joke.
That was a good one. That was a good one. The
All right.
challenge is like, you know, it was a
I
good
know.
one, but I'm trying not to laugh.
don't
So
wanna
it
laugh.
makes it
So I got a bonus one for you.
okay.
What do you call Father Christmas in an orange suit?
What do you call Father Christmas in an orange suit?
Fanta Claus.
Like Fanta, like the drink, Fanta Claus. Okay. I mean, that's a stretch. Like you leaped over some boundaries there.
That's for my Mexican friends.
I mean,
I can say that because I'm Mexican, but that's for my Mexican friends. That's actually there. My people are laughing right now.
okay.
All right,
people are laughing right now.
Oh, I got him to laugh. I knew
that's the best. That was the best thing. My people are laughing right now. Okay.
All right, hey,
all right, rock and roll. Let's do this, dude.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We're about to get down to it. Don't forget to comment if you have anything that you want us to discuss or talk about now or in the future. And subscribe to our channels. Subscribe to me on YouTube, Instagram. On YouTube, it is just my name, Brandon Leon. On Instagram, it is Brandon Leon Realtor. So, Keith, how can people follow you?
On Instagram, Keith Collins Team. And if you just go to the Google and you type in Keith Collins Mortgage, you'll find all kinds of stuff.
The Google.
Yes.
The Google. Hey, so I think we should just get right into it. Let me know, where are rates going? What's going on with interest rates right now? They're rising.
Man, it's not been great. It's not been great. So I've been doing this for 18 years. This is the fastest increase in interest rates I've seen in 18 years doing home loans. So we've been talking for years that mortgage interest rates are going to go up. Last week, inflation came out, 7.5% year-over-year inflation, which is the highest number since 1982. And that's just going to continue to force interest rates up. So where they are today, they're going to be higher tomorrow, for sure, and they'll be higher this year. So we got a little slide. I think this is a really good, if you can put that up, Derek, I think this will really just allow people to kind of see what's happened. So you can see this green line here. The bottom of that green line was December of this year, and we're sitting here in February. So in 2.5 months, that's the steep increase in interest rates. And really what that means is in December, we were talking about interest rates in the twos, high twos to, some cases 2.5, 2.75. And today interest rates are in the fours, low fours. I mean, we're talking 4.125, 4.25 on 30-year fixed interest rates. And I think it's reasonable to throw out there that we might see interest rates as high as 4.75 by the end of the year. They're going to continue. We could see interest rates go up another 0.5% just based on everything that's going on.
And so Keith, like with those numbers, and we're gonna really unpack this, and we're gonna talk about how it's going to affect your buying power. What's going on in the real estate market. We're really going to hit this hard, but like 2018 was the last time where I think the market was somewhat halted from interest rates 4.5 to 5%. So, I mean, that affected the market, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely affected the market. They weren't that high in 2018. They were in the high threes, low fours, but I mean, they weren't into the fives. I think that, I think the difference right now is the American consumer. I mean, the personal savings rate is the highest it's ever been on record. The private sector wage growth is like $10 higher an hour than it was in 2006. I think the American consumer, the healthy American consumer is good right now. Obviously, this is going to affect affordability and housing. But when we look at the demand, and you're going to go through this, when we look at the demand that we have right now in housing, what I'm seeing right now from customers they're talking to is that they're taking a pause and revisiting, but they're still continuing to move forward looking at houses. They just want to check and make sure, like, okay, how much is this actually impacting home prices? Because we did have a lot of people who do that kind of like that winter wait, right? You get them pre-approved and fall and more towards Christmas, and then they kind of stop, and then they pick their head up back around in February. And really a lot's changed in the last 2.5 months. And so we got a lot of people kind of coming back and saying, okay, we're going to their spring buying season. We're going to pick up the house hunt again. And it's given them a little bit of a sticker shock from a standpoint of interest rates being 1.5% higher than they were when they last saw those numbers. But they're continuing to move forward. I think it's important that everybody does have that conversation if you're repicking up the home search.
And you bring up a good point, because I am having this conversation often. People that took a break, now they're back at it, and they're saying, "Wait a sec, I was quoted this number. Can't they honor it?" And it's like, interest rates are interest rates unless we lock a loan long term, which nobody did at that time. It is your buying power has changed, and so we have to have that conversation, and there has to be, either sacrifices or a realization of the new market and how we can talk about creating a game plan to win in today's market, because things are always changing. And we let's face it, we knew this was coming.
I love you, dude.
We knew this was coming. I know. We knew this was coming. So this is just one of those things. So what else, as far as interest rates, what can we expect? You said, just to recap, you said, hey, we could see interest rates as high as 4.5%, 5%. Like they're going to continue to rise most likely. And so having the conversation beforehand, understanding that, and making sure, that to me says, hey, we need to have a solid game plan, and we didn't know that the market's increasing. And so that forces me to have the conversation with our clients saying, hey, we need to really be competitive. We need to be competitive out of the gate. We have to have a solid plan in place, because that could take some people out of the market to buy.
It absolutely could take some people out of the market. And I think the other part is, it just happens. I think it's consumer behavior, but we get someone approved at, 600,000 and they try to get it in contract at, 625. And so I think for people who, knowing that interest rates they're going to be higher, sometimes it takes 60 days to find a house. I think we just have to be very cautious too. And if you're out there looking for a home, that if you're looking at the top of your budget, like, you have to understand that if those rates change, that's going to push you out. You may not qualify for the home, or you got to understand that payment's going to be a little higher. So if you are, looking for homes at the $600,000 price range, and that's the top of your budget, you might want to look at the 580 to give yourself the opportunity to compete, because you might have to go higher in price to compete. But also, if it takes you a little bit longer to find a home and the rates go up, like, no one wants to find the dream home and then not be able to afford it. And so give yourself, I think, a buffer right now, knowing that interest rates are going to be higher.
Man, I love this conversation. And any of you listening right now, please share this with your friends. Anybody that that's looking for a house, like, this is, we're giving like the realest, down to earth talk that we possibly can. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to find their dream home, only know they can't qualify for it. And that's how I've been educating, my clients in, hey, listen, you're pre-approved to 600,000. We should be looking at 550 to 575 range, because we're seeing a lot of houses selling for 1% to 5% over list price, sometimes 5 to 10. And with interest rates, we just have to be mindful of that. And you're right. It is human nature to be qualified for 600 and try to look at everything at 600 and a little bit higher. So this is good stuff. So I'm curious, guys, if this is hitting home for you, or this is making sense, just give us a like or a thumbs up. Let us know you're here. We appreciate you coming and checking us out. Anything else to add about interest rates?
No, I think strategy is extremely important right now. Having the conversation with your real estate team to talk about what happens if rates go up. How does that impact things? Making sure that if you get a buyer into escrow, that they're locking the interest rate, not floating it out. I know some loan officers try to play the market. It's like, man, we're just not that smart. Don't play the market right now. If you're in contract on a home, just lock it. And on builder transactions, if you're doing, I know you do a lot of new home build stuff, Brendan. There are long-term locks available on new home builds that are actually very attractive. And so, maybe, buyers that are really rate sensitive and are concerned, or guys, the last thing you want to do is be in contract at home and losing sleep overnight about what your rate's going to be when the home's completed. Is really potentially look at that long-term lock option. You might be taking a rate that's just slightly higher than market, but it is something that's going to give you that peace of mind that your rate's not going to go 0.5% higher while you're building a house.
Absolutely. And what Keith is referring to is If you're going to buy a new home, it's going to take, 4 or 6 months to build. You can lock in the interest rate today at around the same, market rate as maybe slightly higher. And you're going to be able to lock that in for that whole 4-month, 5-month, 6-month period, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, we can do a full year long rate lock on new construction. So
beautiful. And
so it's something to really consider, I think, in this market.
That's really important, Keith, that you just bring that up. And the other thing to think about is if the house is going to take 6 months, and I've just dealt with this actually with one of my clients in a new home. If the house is going to take 6 months to build, you need to get a rate lock at least 9 months. We're having a shortage right now. We're having a shortage in materials. We're having a shortage in laborers, and houses that are saying 6 months are taking 7, 8, sometimes 9 months to build. So get the rate lock longer than you would expect, and you will thank me later.
We're going through that right now with a customer where the builder told us it was going to be, we're on the second extension. They said 100% it's going to close by this day. We're 60 days beyond that day now. And it's, I don't want to put a fault on the builder. It's, it's a tight labor market, and just getting a hold of materials. It's nuts right now, but yeah, that's a really good point. Everything's getting pushed out because of that when you're building a house.
Beautiful. All right. Well, hey, thanks for talking about interest rates. So I'm going to hit you with some market highlights before we get into the depth of the conversation. Now, Ryan Lundquist, Sacramento Appraisal Blog, shout out to him. He puts out the greatest stats. So most of the stuff we got today is from him. So excited to share that with you. So I'm going to hit you with 4 stats real quick, or basically highlights of what I call highlights for January of 2022, because we're now in February. So we're sharing information from January. So listings are getting bid up, like people are bidding houses up, and the problem is pendings are showing an upward pricing pressure, right? So because the houses were having multiple offers, not just are they getting bid up. I was like paintings. We had a misspell right there. So listings are getting bid up, and pendings are showing upward pricing pressure. So since we're having that issue, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Since we're having that issue, we're seeing the prices increase. It's normal for this time of the year. We have a tight inventory. Houses are going to start hitting the market, but for 19 months straight, we've had less than 1 month of inventory. I think that's a pretty crazy stat. And that's in the Sacramento, Placer, El Dorado, Yolo County, just with the Sacramento area in general. And then the third thing, multiple offers were 59% of all sales in January of 2022, which is very
crazy for January.
Very high for January, no matter what. It's actually, I think it's less than last year, but last year was the only year that beat it. I mean, that's 59% multiple offers. That's huge. That's
just not something that that's gonna change anything anytime soon. I mean, but new home builders are still not building fast enough.
True. As long as we have a tight inventory, that's going to continue. And 54% of homes sold above their list price, which is lower. Which is over 2 times the normal amount. So in January, 54% of homes sold above the list price, and that's twice the normal amount for January in general, which I think is pretty cool. So good. Let's get into it. Let's get into our next. So we're going to look at the Sacramento region, excuse me, first. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. These are numbers. You can take a picture of it and take a look at all the stats if you want. But what I'm focusing on, or what I see in the Sacramento housing market. So we have January of 2021 and January of 2022. We could see that the average price has gone up 15.4%. And just looking at that as a region, the number of sales are a little bit less than last year, but 2021 was a record-breaking year in so many ways. So it's going to be.
I think the number of sales is less just because of inventory.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah, the number of sales is not less because an indication there's less buyers out there, or there's less demand. It's because there's actually less houses available on the market, so you're having less sales.
Correct. And I think what's interesting as we go through all of the other slides or graphs, we're going to see that the cash sales percentage has gone up everywhere. So the percentage of houses that were sold for cash are also going up.
Is it the same 5 bank owns that have been on the market for a year?
I know that's the hard thing.
It's the same. 5 bank owns January 21, 5
I know,
bank owns
and
January 22.
it's
It's the
funny.
same
Like
ones
we
just
have this
sitting there.
conversation. We have this conversation. What 8-9 years ago? That number is so different.
That number is 7. That number is 60% of the market. I mean, that's not a stat that I know, but I would say like, yeah, I mean, it's upwards of 50-60% of the market was distressed. So short sale or bank owned.
It's crazy to think.
Not even a conversation.
So we'll jump to the Sacramento County housing market. So that last one was the Sacramento region. So Sacramento, Placer, Yolo, El Dorado counties. And then we're going to head to the Sacramento now. So as we head to the Sacramento County housing market update, average price has gone up 18.2%, right? But cash sales have also gone up. So those are kind of the two stats that I notice, on this graph in Sacramento. And again, there's a lot of different ranges of sales of houses, right? We're looking at everything as a whole. So just knowing that the average price has gone up 18.2% from last January to January, that's a pretty big stat.
Hey man, I'm curious. I'm seeing median days on market at 9 days, and then I'm seeing the average price and median price obviously going up a ton. Are you still seeing a strategy at all where people are listing the house a little bit low to get multiple offers and then have it bid up and sell super fast, or is it more so just listed at what you think you can sell it for?
I'm not seeing as many low listed houses, not as much as I have in the past. I think I'm actually seeing more overlisted houses. People saying, hey, no matter what I list it at, it's going to sell. I am seeing that, but I also am seeing people adjusting quicker. That's the difference. Is I'm seeing sellers adjust their price faster.
Adjust the price down faster when they're over,
because they know it's still a competitive market and they want to take advantage. Because you and I talk about this all the time.
You don't want to get stale.
Right. As we look at all these stats, what we're noticing, and we look and everyone thinks the market heats up in April, right? It's like April of every year. It's like, no, February is really where we see a shift every single year. And so right now is the time. So, depending on your house, of course, one might, just kidding. One might reason to say, if you're listing your house in April, you might have missed the boat a little bit on getting the highest price because you have the most buyers and the most limited amount of inventory in January, February. I don't know if that's true for every market, but that one could argue that. So let's head to the next slide. That's it.
You're gonna make it.
I'm gonna go cough drop. I don't start coughing until I talk up a storm. All right. So now we're going Placer County. So Placer County, that's where I live. Average price has gone up 15%, 15.1%. Cash sales have also gone up. So that's what I'm seeing. Average sales price has gone up year over year. Cash sale prices has gone up. Months of supply has gone up just a little bit here, but we're still super low. If you guys are interested at all for Placer County, I have a Rockland, Roseville, Lincoln, Granite Bay, Loomis. I do market updates every single month. If you want to see those actual stats, you can check those out on YouTube. But that's what's going on in Placer County, and then let's hit El Dorado County real quick. So El Dorado County up 14.2% in the average sales price. Cash sales percentage gone up 19%.
Cash sales percentage 20%. That's a higher number on the cash sales. Mm-hmm. Average days on market is actually down where the other ones are up a little bit. And then the bank, it's interesting. I think it's probably some of the bank owned sales and the short sales, just being non-existent basically here is everybody's got equity, right? You're not seeing distressed sales because people have equity in their home. And so, why let it go back to the bank when you can put it on the market and net out? That's just we're just not seeing those distressed sales because of that. Even if they were in forbearance or things like that, like they have equity in the property. If they're in a situation where they can't make their mortgage payment, they're not letting the bank take it back and lose all that equity, because that's what happens in a foreclosure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, hey, let's move on to some fun stats. As we look at the Sacramento region, just from November to January to now, I love this. Like when I look at these numbers, this excites me. You look at the houses because the common question is like, is anyone getting a deal, right? Like the buyers. So we have 4 agents on our team, and a lot of times when they're talking with first time home buyers, it's like the conversation is still like, I believe there's a house out there that I can get under list price. Like I still think that there's a deal. And if there's only like maybe 1 or 2 offers, they're like, oh, well, maybe they're not at the list price. Maybe they're below. And so it takes some times, and we prepare them and we let them know what the market's doing and everything else. But sometimes it takes a few losses, a few times of writing an offer and not getting accepted, to get on the bandwagon and just even just understand as a whole how the market works, right? Because right here you see that 35% of the market in November sold at 1 to 5% above list price. So that's in Sacramento, Placer, Yolo, Dorado County. And then December was 33, January is 33. I mean, 33% of houses selling above list price. I think that's an important thing to see. So there still is, though, about 30% of houses selling right at the list price. So that really leads me to believe that, again, even though prices are can somewhat be inflated, prices are they're still listing them at a fair price, and people are willing to pay what people are listing their house for.
I haven't seen this before, but if I'm looking at this right, Brandon, so sold at list price, let's just say January 2022, 31%. Sold at 1 to 5% above, that's 33%. So is that a cumulative 34%, basically 64%, 65% of homes sold at or over? Then you got another 16, right? So now you're at like 80. So almost 85% of the homes sold at or above list.
True. That is true. That is a correct stat.
So yeah, I think most people would look at this and think, oh, well, only 30% are there. It took me a second. I'm like, gosh, that's a low number. And then I'm actually looking at it. No, this is an accumulation of all of them together, suggesting that upwards of 85% of the market is selling at or above list.
Yeah. If you're a buyer looking to buy a house and you have not started the process yet, this is the most important thing you need to see.
Yep.
Is we have actual stats that 85% of houses are selling at or above list price. So writing an offer under list price is not going to get it done.
It's not a winning strategy.
It's not. It's definitely not. So
and I actually recently did a video about this. I think it's interesting is like, hey, if you have that perception of overpaying for a home, whether it appraised for it or not, but let's just say the home's listed for 600 and you pay 620. So you're sitting there thinking, oh, I paid $20,000 over what it's worth, but it goes up $100,000 a year. Like, how do you actually feel at the end of the year? Do you feel like you got a bad deal? Or you feel like you got a good deal?
Yeah. Yeah, you feel like you got a good deal. I'm having similar conversations as well. It's like how much is too much? How much is overpaying for a house? When you look at the equity over the past few years, and you also got to think about how long you're actually going to live in the house.
Right.
So those are some good things to consider. All right, let's go to the next slide. We're going to distribution of sales by price range. So I like this one because as someone entering the real estate market, and maybe you're watching this and you live in New York or somewhere outside of California, it's important to know, hey, what are the actual house prices? What's selling? Well, a whopping 24.11% of houses that are selling are between 400 and 500,000 in the Sacramento area. 21.76% between 500 and 600,000. And so, as you can see, the majority, the 3 highest, right, is going to be that $400,000 to $800,000 range.
Another way to look at this is only 12% of the market sold under 400,000.
Yep. That's also a really good way to look at it. So, that's kind of where the price regions are. And I'm curious to see what this looks like at the end of this year. I really like this graph. I want to come back and revisit it. Let's head to the next one. All right. Housing affordability. This is our last graph here, and then we'll wrap up with the property of the week. So housing affordability in Sacramento. So this is from California Association of Realtors. Okay. This is the percentage of households that can actually buy a home in California that can afford it. Right. So we have right now as Q4, quarter 4 of 2021. So that's the stats that they have. 39% of families can afford to own a medium priced home in California. So let's go back. Check this out. Q4 of 2012, or about 74% could afford in 2012. Prices were much lower. It's a very different market. But looking at these numbers, I mean, it's been below 50% since 2013. So 39% isn't really, in the grand scheme of things, that much different than what it's been over the past several years. Again, they can't build houses fast enough. There's such a high demand that people are finding a way. What do you see, Keith?
I mean, I kind of see something similar. It's really been in a range, since really 2013 of 50. It's really only been a 10% range from 2013. So it's a tight window, and we had a pretty steep decline there in late 2019 from house prices that went up just from an inventory standpoint. But it looked like it's flattening off here in 2021, but it's really only a 10% change. I think it's all based on inventory, really. When you go back and I think we all kind of point at this, 2008, 2009 number and look at affordability as it kind of went through the roof there. Or the percentage, right? Look, so you get 2006, that's when home prices dropped and homes became much more affordable. But when you look at prior to that, there was so much inventory in the market, right? There was so much inventory in the market that it allowed home prices to deflate. You just don't have that right now. That's the challenge. Yeah.
It is true, but it is changing. Like this time of the year, this is when the houses start to get listed. I mean, we're listing 3 houses this month, a couple next month. And just having the conversations, people are ready to move. People are just ready. There are people moving out of the area, but there are people moving in the area. So as the weather improves, as we get into late February, early March, inventory is going to come back. Is it going to be soaring, double, triple what it is now? Who knows? But houses are going to start to get listed pretty soon. All right. So let's wrap it up. We have our property of the week. We have a house we're listing. This is a perfect entry-level house for anyone looking to get into their first home. So, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,081 square feet. We actually, it hasn't even hit the market yet, or it's going to hit the market tomorrow. So I apologize for the iPhone photos because we don't even have the professional photos yet. They were just done today. But it's going to be $425,000. They remodeled the kitchen, remodeled the bathrooms. Nice, clean house. Pretty much move-in ready for $425,000, which is hard to find right now in Antelope for sure. So if you have any questions about that property, someone that's interested, we can get you in there for a private showing. We can send you a 360 tour. We have all kinds of good stuff for you to see the property. We'll have some open houses this weekend, so feel free to reach out to myself or my team if you know somebody that'd be interested in that property. Hey, we're wrapping up here. We're a little bit over on time. Hey, we really, really appreciate you guys checking in. We went through a lot of stats today. We talked about a lot of stuff, but I'm curious, what did you guys get from this? Love to hear your thoughts or questions that you may have. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Instagram. We are here to help. So if you plan on potentially buying or selling a home in the near future, our team would love to help you if you're in the Sacramento area. And Keith would love to help you with a loan or any advice you need. And I think that's one of the things that sets Keith apart the most. And I think what other people say about you is way more.
Keep it coming, brother. I'm all ears here.
Like he genuinely cares about your financial future, not just getting you into a home and helping you with your home loan. It's asking the questions and helping you figure out how to make the smart decision in the long haul. And so he's actually asking you questions, thinking about your future, not just thinking about the right now. So if you have any questions, loan related or about the market or interest rates, feel free to reach out to him. He'd be happy to help. And we will see you guys next month. Thank you so much for joining us. And stay classy, Sacramento.
You stole it from me. Thank you. Take care, y'all.